So as you probably heard, my Sega CD is making a terrible grinding noise. It does the same thing when the game is playing, though I didn't get much footage of that. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up and poke around a bit and see if I can reduce the grinding noise or take it away entirely. The first step of business is to remove its conjoined twin Genesis Model 2. Flip it over, and here on the back we can see 6 Phillips screws that need to be removed. Now we can go ahead and flip it back around and this top shell should just come off. I'm not sure this CD had ever been opened, so it took a little persuasion, not too much though. I left my CD door closed, but I'd recommend taking it off just to make sure you don't damage the door hinges. It's a little bit better to just keep it off. My CD track fell a little bit off the rubber grommets that held it in place, but oh well, that's okay. There's this metal shielding here held in place by 4 Phillips P00 screws, but as I learned later, at least for the simple fix, you don't really need to take that off. Once all 4 screws are off, the metal shielding just comes right out of place. Now that we have a good look at the mechanism, here's this big white gear which moves the entire laser track back and forth, and we can just lift up the whole mechanism and take a closer look at the problem. Here's a switch which usually gets bent out of place or sometimes oxidizes. You can try to push that forward or clean it with a little bit of deoxidizing spray and see if that helps stop the gear grinding. Basically, that switch acts as a homing position for the CD track. When it bumps against the switch, it'll tell the Sega CD to stop moving the laser track. But over time, if that switch gets bent out of place or if it starts to rust and oxidize, the CD is not going to be able to detect its home position quite as well. And that's what basically causes it to just grind gears until it gives up, I guess. I've read of people online just pushing that switch back into its right place and cleaning it off a bit, and that usually stops the Sega CD from grinding. Gone ahead and done all that. Now it's time to put it back together and see if that helped any. Well, it definitely still grinds, and wait, why can't I see anything? Oh, right, cables. Yep, that grinding is definitely still there. Let me go ahead and try to load a disc and see how it sounds. More grinding. So the laser definitely still works, because I can read discs, but it grinds a lot while I'm going back and forth through the disc. Alright, so it's been a few days and I still want to fix my CD, so I just went ahead and I bought an entirely new pickup for the laser. This was only 30 bucks or something on eBay, and you know what, with the old one being close to 30 years old or something along those lines, it's probably best to just replace the whole thing. So I've gone ahead and opened my Sega CD back up, so I can go ahead and replace this entire mechanism. The mechanism lifts right out of place, and this ribbon cable here just comes right out. Now I just have to take all the pieces from this and put it onto the brand new pickup. This metal shielding comes off first, and this time it does actually have to come off. There's another ribbon cable here, which just pops right out as well, though there are some tabs that hold it in place and you may have to take those off. This metal axle is held in place by just a piece of plastic and a spring tension that slides right out. I actually probably should have removed that last because the laser is still blocked by this white gear, which is held in place by these teeth right here. You can go ahead and try to pinch those with some needle nose pliers and the gear should come right out. Takes a little persuasion, but eventually that gear will come right out and shouldn't be any problem. Now you can transplant the laser onto the new pickup. These tabs pop up and they hold the ribbon cable in place with some friction. Just make sure to push both of those sides back down once you have the ribbon cable in. The metal axle just slides right into place. Make sure all the holes are lined up and it'll go right in. Next is this gear. This should also just pop right in. Make sure the teeth are aligned and it should just go right up and down. And that should be all of the pieces we need from the pickups. Don't forget the metal shielding, that has to go back on. And I'm just going to hit it with some canned air, just to get rid of any loose dust that I may have introduced. Now this can go back into the main chassis. Again, this ribbon cable just slides right in. The whole mechanism sits on top of these 4 plastic posts. And go ahead and put the top right back on. You should probably leave the door open as you're putting the top back on as well. Alright, with the whole thing back together, let's see how it sounds. Alright, here we go. Moment of truth. Let's see how she sounds. Basically, perfectly silent. I'm pretty happy with that result, actually. again, perfectly silent, even as it's loading a disc. I think that just about does it for this. So I was kind of hoping the first simple fix of just pushing the switch a bit and cleaning it up would work. I'm pretty happy that I replaced the whole mechanism anyways. The original one was just about 30 years old, and who knows when it could crap out. I feel a lot better knowing that the new one is in. But I know that's not going to be an option for everyone, so hopefully that first fix might help you out a little bit. If not, you can always just look for the specific pickup for your model of Sega Genesis. You should hopefully be able to find a model number when you take the pickup out of the CD, and you can probably find those online on eBay, AliExpress, or wherever else. And anyways, I think that just about wraps it up for this video. See you in the next one.